What's doing, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. Everybody that's been here before, welcome back. You see, I got my boy Dusty here. For those of you that have not been here, this is my boy Dusty. He's a gangster. And if you haven't been here before, please check out many of the videos that I have. Hit the subscribe button. I served 17 years in the New York prison system. And today we're going to talk about the process of going from the moment they put the handcuffs on you to when you get to prison, what you're going to have to go through. Let me put Dusty down. Okay, Dusty, go lay down. So this process is, if you've been through it before, then you know it. If you've never been through it before, you may have seen some of it on television, in some movies, what exactly you go through. What I want you to know is once the officer puts the handcuffs on you, it's over. You're not going to convince him to take the handcuffs off you. You're not going to say, I have kids at home. You're not going to say, I have work in the morning. You're not going to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Is there anything I can do? Once you're handcuffed and you're in the police car and you're placed under arrest, you're going to the police station. You're going to suffer the repercussions for what you did. Now, what I have to tell you, this video is not about that, but do not give a statement to the police. Do not talk to the police. Do not tell them anything. Invoke your right to remain silent under the Fifth Amendment. When you get to the police station, you will eventually get a phone call. That's when you call your family and tell them to call an attorney, or you call an attorney itself, and then you deal with your attorney. Never give the police information. They have arrested you and brought you to the police station, and now you are going to go through a process. It's going to be very scary. Hopefully, none of you go through it. It's going to be very nerve wracking because you don't know what you're going to encounter. But I'll explain to you what you would encounter a little bit. Once the handcuffs are on you and you're going to the police station and they take you out of the car and bring you inside of the police station, they will eventually remove the handcuffs off you when you get inside, and the process takes hours. It doesn't take 20 minutes. It doesn't take a half hour. You may not get a phone call for an hour or two. It usually takes some time, and nobody's in a rush to do anything. So the first thing they will do is probably put you in a holding cell. They might bring you into an interrogation room and try and question you about the reason why you were arrested, right? That's when you don't speak at all because you're under arrest and nothing you say is going to get you out of the situation, even though you may think so. You say, oh, I didn't do it. I wasn't over there. I was over here. Don't give them any information. No matter what you say to them, they are not going to let you go. No matter what, you are under arrest. Okay. Now, you have to see a judge within 24 hours to be arraigned. It's called an arraignment, right? But before they do that, there's a process to go through in the police station. So you will probably be spending the night in the police station. Well, let me back up a little and tell you what you go through. They bring you into the police station. They're going to take their time and they're going to take some mug shots of you. They're going to put you in front of a camera. They'll take pictures of you, the mugshot. If you saw in my thumbnail for this video, those were pictures of me. That was a picture of me when I was arrested and caught in Texas because I was on the run. And then there's a picture of a mugshot from a different arrest when I was younger. So they're going to take pictures of you. They're going to take mugshot pictures of you. They're also going to have someone there with a chart, and he writes down what tattoos you may have, what scars you may have on your body. They're going to ask you a lot of medical questions. Are you on any medication? Are you a diabetic? Have you had a heart attack? Do you have any hip replacements? They're going to ask you a lot of medical questions, okay, to document it all, because now you're in their custody and they need to know what's wrong with you. Do you wear glasses? They'll go through that whole process and they'll take the mugshot pictures of you. After that, they're going to fingerprint you. In my days, they used ink, right? These days, a lot of them, they just have machines. They may still use ink in some places, but they have a lot of machines that you just put your hand on the machine, roll your hand on the machine. It takes images of your fingerprints, right? And so you're going to go through that process where they check your tattoos, they take your mug shots, they take your fingerprints, they take your medical information. This is called the booking process. They are booking you into jail, okay? And you're in the police station at this point. Once they're done with the booking process, they'll give you a phone to make a phone call. You're getting that one phone call. You don't get two phone calls, three phone calls. They're going to give you the one phone call. And I suggest you call your attorney, or you call your family and your family calls an attorney, because you will be placed in front of a judge within 24 hours, unless it's on a Friday. If you get arrested on a Friday afternoon, you may not be arraigned until Monday morning, and you could spend the weekend in the jail before you see the judge, right? And now, depending on whether you're allowed to get bail or not, depends on the crime. If you're allowed to get bail, if it's a very small thing, say something like shoplifting, they may post a bail right at the police station, tell you what your bail could be, and or if it's the crime is so minute, you get ROR, which is called release on your own recognizance, and they release you and you come back with a court date. But we're going to use the scenario as if you're going away up to prison. So you go into the police station. They do everything I mentioned to you: mug shots, fingerprints, medical information. You get your phone call, and now they're going to take you from the police station over into the county jail. Okay, so because the police station is not jail, they just have holding cells where they hold you until they're done with their booking process. And once they're done with their booking process, they put you back in the police car, or they put you on the bus and they bring you to the county jail. A jail is used for two reasons. Well, maybe three reasons. A jail is used for people who are serving under 1 year. A jail is used for people who are just arrested and they have an open court case, like, say, you, who was just arrested. And jail is used for people who are upstate in prison and are coming back down to jail on an appeal issue, things like that. Right. And so now you're in the jail. Once you get into jail, you're going to go through a whole process in the jail already. When you walk into the jail, this is when they're going to take your personal clothes away from you. You're not wearing any of your personal clothes in the jail. You had them on when they arrested you. You had them on when they brought you to the police station. And you had them on when they transferred you to the jail. Once you get to the jail, right, they are stripping you naked. You'll be put into a room with an officer of the same sex, and they're going to strip you naked, naked. No underwear, no socks. They take everything away from you, right? You're not going to have anything personal. They're going to take any piercings that you have out. They're going to take any jewelry that you have away from you. They're going to take your wallet. They're going to take your watch. They're going to take your phone. Well, the police already took your phone. Usually those items were in a brown paper bag, and they bring them to the jail with you. And when you get to the jail takes possession of everything: your clothes, your jewelry. The only thing you may be allowed to keep is a wedding band if you're legally married. And that wedding band can't have any protrusions in it. It can't have any stones. You're allowed to have like a plain wedding band when you get to the jail. Other than that, they're taking everything away from you. And once they do this, as I said, they strip search you. They're going to bring you into a room. They're going to tell you to hold your hands above your head. Let me see behind your ears. Run your fingers through your hair. Open your mouth and stick your tongue out to make sure nothing's in your mouth. And then if you're a male, they're going to tell you to hold up your genitals. And then they'll tell you to squat down and bend over. They're going to make sure that you have absolutely nothing on you. So you're not going in there with anything. Then these days they're going to check inside of you too. They're going to put you in a chair, which is called the boss. That determines whether you have any metal objects up inside of your body. They'll put you through an X-ray machine. They'll put you through a body scanner. They're going to make sure you have no drugs inside of your body. They're making sure you're not getting into the jail with anything. Once you get into the jail, they're going to bring you, after they do that, they're going to bring you to the medical department. And the medical department is basically going to go through more extensive health stuff with you than the police station did. They're going to ask you if you had any surgeries, are you on any medications, do you see a doctor on the street, is there anything wrong with you, do you have asthma? They'll go through a bunch of different stuff with you. And then you'll get put inside of either a jail cell or a dorm type setting. All county jails are different. Some county jails have cells and you get put in a cell, and then other county jails have dormitories where you get put in a dorm. They will ask you if you want protective custody. They will ask you if you have any enemies inside of the jail. They're going to ask you about your education. They're going to document everything. They're going to take a pretty extensive list about who you are. They're going to take emergency contact information. They're going to ask for your parents' names, your names, if you have any children. They'll get a thorough information documentation about who you are, what you need, and who to contact if there's an emergency. They're going to ask you if you're married, if you're divorced, right? So they go through a thorough list with you. Once they do that, once you've been taken from the police station to the jail, and the jail does all the medical in screening, this and that, they're obviously going to give you prison jail clothes. They'll give you a certain pair of pants that you wear. It's all different. Some jails have jumpsuits. Some jails have the orange clothes. Some jails have flip flops. They don't allow sneakers. I can't tell you all the rules for the county jail because Nassau County Jail is different than Riverhead County Jail. Riverhead County Jail is different than Yaphank County Jail. They all have their own different rules, but they're all pretty similar in some ways. So now you go into the jail, you don't have nothing on you, right? All you got is the clothes they give you. They give you a brown paper bag for your first lunch so you have something to eat. It's usually 2 bologna sandwiches, which is 2 pieces of bread with 1 slice of bologna on it and a mustard packet. They may give you a little milk or a little juice and a little bag of chips. And that's what they hand you. And they're going to hand you a bedroll with a blanket, with one blanket, usually a wool blanket, a bed sheet, one bed sheet, one pillowcase, even though you don't get a pillow. And that's it. You're going into jail. When you get into jail, you may not be able to make a phone call right away. You made one at the police station already. And now you have to see a judge within 24 hours, right? Because you have to be arraigned. As I said, there's an arraignment. And unless you get caught on a Friday, remember that. Because if you get arrested on a Friday, you can be arraigned on a Saturday. In some places, the judge is in there on a Saturday. Sometimes you sit in the jail till Monday, right? And then Monday, you go before the judge. When you get before the judge, he's going to ask you if you have an attorney. If you have an attorney, your attorney will be in the courtroom to represent you. If you don't have an attorney, let's say you're getting no bail. If there's bail, the judge will issue bail at the arraignment. $10,000 bail, $20,000 bail. If it's a murder charge, $400,000 bail. And or you might not get any bail. It all depends. All depends on the case. There's some things you don't get bail for, but usually you do. And a lot of people can't afford to bail out. They get bail, but they can't bail out. So now let's say you can't bail out and you're sitting in the county jail. Let's say we'll make something up. Let's say you're charged with armed robbery, right? Armed robbery and assault. And for some reason, you have a $75,000 bail and you can't make your bail. So now you're sitting in the county jail and you go to your arraignment. Judge says $75,000 bail. He tells you what you've been charged with. You've been charged with armed robbery in the first degree, assault in the second degree. Do you have a lawyer? You say, no, I don't have a lawyer. Okay, we're going to appoint a lawyer for you. And then the cops, they handcuff you. They put you in the van or the bus, and they bring you back to jail with another court date. That court date may be 30 days away. It may be 3 weeks away. It may be 2 months away. Right? So now you're sitting in the county jail for a couple of months. You're starting to get into the routine of the county jail, right? They give you 3 pairs of socks, 3 pairs of underwear, 3 pairs of pants, a pair of slippers. You're allowed to get a visit in the jail. Your family could come and visit you in the county jail, and you would start adjusting to the way it is. You start adjusting to the new scene you're trapped in. And your court dates are not back to back, right? Your court dates are usually a month apart, sometimes 2 months apart. It all depends on the case. It all depends if you have a legal aid attorney, a private attorney. It all depends if you're going to go to trial. After the second or third court date, the judge and the district attorney might offer you a plea bargain and say, listen, if you'd like to take 5 years at this time, you can take it. You can plead guilty and take 5 years. And you say, no, I don't want to take 5 years. I want to go to trial. and then your lawyer tries to have more court dates and tells the district attorney, we'll take 3 years. Can you give us my client will plead guilty if you give him 3 years. The district attorney says no. So there's plea bargaining going back and forth, right? Unless you're facing something like a murder trial and they're telling you, listen, you take 20 years. If you plead guilty, we'll give you 20 years. You say, no, I want to go to trial, right? All right. So let's say, with all that said and done, let's say you get sentenced to 7 years. Let's say for the crime of armed robbery and assault, you get sentenced to 7 years. Now you go to court, you plead guilty to the 7 years, or you go to trial, and if they find you guilty, they give you 7 years, 10 years, whatever it may be. Now it's time for you to go to prison, and so they'll bring you back to the jail, and they're going to move you to the prison probably within a month. After you've been sentenced, you'll go back for sentencing, and the judge sentences you. Probably within a month, you'll go back. You'll be sent up to prison. And what happens is a prison bus comes down. It picks up all the guys that are sentenced and getting ready to go to prison. They chain you. They put you in a pair of handcuffs. They put a black box over the handcuffs. Then they put a chain through the handcuffs, and they chain your arms to your waist so you can't move. This is how they transport you. Then they put shackles on your ankles, and sometimes they shackle you to another prisoner, and you guys get on the prison bus together, and up to prison you go. Right? When you get to the prison, you're going to go through the same routine that you went through when you were in the jail. They're going to strip search you. They're going to search you. They're going to take all your clothes. You're not going there with anything. Everything's been taken away from you. I think the only thing that you can have in your property when you're going from jail to prison is a small bag with any legal work that you have, and you can carry a religious book. In other words, if you're a Christian, you could bring a Bible. If you're a Muslim, you could bring a Quran. If you're a Jew, you could bring the Torah. Whatever it may be, you're allowed to bring your religious book. Usually they put it in your property, though you're not carrying anything with you. They give you your bagged lunch again, and you go on your way up to prison. And when you get into prison, same routine. They're going to take pictures of you and mug shots of you, and they're going to fingerprint you again. They're going to do the whole process that they did in the police station. They're going to do the whole process that they did through the jail. And when you get to the prison, the first thing they'll do again is take you to the medical department. Now they have all the information from the two places that you've been, but they're going to go through it all again. All right. And then the prison will issue you the same thing, a blanket, a pillowcase, this, that, and you'll be taken to your cell inside a prison. Usually when you get to a prison, you're double bunked. You're in a two-man cell. If it's a maximum security prison, they put you in a two-man cell for the first month to 6 months. All depends on the prison. All depends on the state. So don't mark me on these words. I'm talking about New York State right now. It all depends on what state you're in, what prison you're in, if you're going to a medium security prison or a maximum security prison. In New York State, if you were sentenced to 5 years or under, you usually go to a medium security prison. If you're sentenced to 5 years or more, you usually go to a maximum security prison. But this is not ironclad. You could be sentenced to 4 years and end up in a maximum security prison. It depends on your criminal history. It depends what you've been charged with. Someone who has an attempted escape on their record uh, will probably end up in a maximum security prison, even if they have 2, 3 years. Someone who has an arson charge, they take arson very seriously. So let's say you were only sentenced to 2 years for arson. They may want you in a maximum security prison. You never know what they're going to do. It depends on the charge, And so as you're going through all of this, it's very nerve wracking. Obviously, you're very scared because it's the unknown, and you don't have access to the phone. Besides making like one phone call when you're in the police station, and then when you get transferred, you're not allowed to make a phone call to even tell someone you're being transferred for security reasons. A lot of times that doesn't happen. So you're really worried because nobody that you love knows where you are. They don't know what's going on. They don't know when you're moving from one place to another. And then when you get to the new place, you may not be given a phone call right away. You may not be able to make a phone call for 2 or 3 days. And so nobody knows where you are, And so I understand, like when I was going through it, Oh, I forgot to tell you this part, which is a big part. When this, I'm surprised I left this out. When they're taking you from the jail to prison, right? A lot of times you stop in a reception facility first. Like in New York State, once they sentenced me, they sent me to a place called Downstate Correctional Facility. Downstate is closed right now, but Downstate is a reception jail. And what I did was so follow the process. I went from the police station of being arrested to the county jail. And then from the county jail, once I was sentenced, they sent me to a reception jail called Downstate Correctional Facility. In New York, they now use Elmira Correctional Facility. And that reception jail, you may be there for 3 days to 3 months. It's a reception jail. It's where they're going to classify you. They're going to give you a classification to decide what prison they're going to send you in. They're going to look at your needs. Do you have psychiatric needs? Do you have medical needs? Do you have educational needs? Do you have vocational needs? They're going to look at all of this information, and that decides what prison they're going to send you in. So you have to spend a little time in the reception jail, and you're locked in a cell really with nothing, and you're just taking a lot of tests. You're actually taking IQ tests, school tests, medical tests. All that's what a reception jail does. And they'll give you a classification. They'll look at your crime. They'll look at your medical needs, your educational needs, your work needs, your criminal history is a big thing. They look at all this information in the reception jail, and they give you a classification number. And that decides what prison you'll be sent to, what maximum security prison, what medium security prison. They're going to look at your sentence, how much time you have, and now you end up in the prison system. So it's a lot of moving around. And it's a lot of moving around, not knowing when, not knowing how, and it's pretty scary. You'll lose weight during the process. Then once you get into prison, they're going to do a lot of these tests all over again, and you'll finally settle in. So let's say I'll end with this. Let's say from the moment they put the handcuffs on you to the time you get to prison, some people can do that in a matter of 3 months. Mine took 3 years because I was fighting my case. I sat on Rikers Island for 3 years. So I was arrested. They took me from the police station. They brought me to Rikers Island. I sat on Rikers Island and psychiatric hospitals going back and forth, fighting my case for 3 years. And then when I was finally sentenced to 12 and a half to 25 years, they took me from Rikers Island and they put me in Downstate Correctional Facility where I sat for about a month and to get that classification number. And then they took me from there and they sent me to the maximum security prison, Sing Sing, which was the first prison that I went to. And then it took me some time to get settled in the Sing Sing. I have plenty of stories on my channel about what it was like walking into Sing Sing. But that's the process in a nutshell. I didn't cover every single detail, you know, uh, but once you're going through that process, there's nothing to stop it. That's what you really need to understand. There is nothing to stop it. There's nothing you can do once the judge gives you time. There's nothing a lawyer can do. Look at someone like P. Diddy, a billionaire, a famous billionaire. Someone like even Jeffrey Epstein, who had $1 billion in private islands. Once the judge sentences you to time, nobody can stop it. Nobody. The only one that can stop it, the only one that can really reverse it, is the sentencing judge or another judge for some reason. But it's only once you're sentenced, you're going to do your time. There's no calling mommy to get out. That's what I want you kids to know, especially. There's no calling mommy to get out. There's no calling daddy to get out. There's no amount of begging or crying or pleading that can get you out. It's called becoming a ward of the state. It's called becoming state property. It's when you lose your name and get a number. 96A 4425, report to the infirmary. They don't use your name in the prison system. They use your number. 21B 4646 on the visit. 21B 0015. Report to the mess hall. You're a number. Your state property. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to your life. That process I just explained to you, I explained the process without all the pain, without all the emotion, without the loss and the tears and the fear that you will experience going through all of that. It'll give you a heart attack. I'm wrapping this up for now. And let me end by saying this very important happy Thanksgiving to all of you that celebrate Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much. Don't drink too much. Try not to drink at all. And I'm out of here. I'll make another video soon. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. All my best.